Okay. Top of the day, beautiful people. Facebook. I've been looking at the videos the last couple of days. I really don't like the way I was looking at y'all from the side, the whole video. So I got rid of it. That way it can look like I'm looking at everybody at the same time. So got my pen. Tigva. Hey girl, hey, bless up. You're gonna be on the treadmill while I read. Okay, go ahead, girl. Get the exercise in. Vinette, greetings. Anita, greetings. She Brew, all praises to the creator. Set apart living grand rising. Jamia, shalom, shalom. Kindred, love and light. Lavon, blessings. Gloria. Hey, girl, hey. All right, beautiful people. I'm excited about today. Listen, I pulled it back out a little bit later after everybody had knocked out after the day's festivities. I was like, let me go ahead and read some about Moses. So I started reading. I was like, oh no, I gotta wait. I wanna be super excited while I'm reading it for the first time. So I started reading like a paragraph, then I stopped. Then I flipped through to see how long it was about the section about Moses. And then I just closed it. I was like, okay, we're going to experience all this together tomorrow. Some of y'all may have already read it, but it'll be my first time literally reading through about Moses. All right, so let's get going. Father, we thank you for your grace. And we thank you that you are not like the world that throws us away. Thank you. All right, beautiful people. Let's get started. Hey, son, they out in the back. I would have thought they would have still been asleep. The three oldest ones is knocked out, drooling and everything. Yeah, it is Sunday, August the 14th, 2022, day 185 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1203. And we starting on page 419. Let's get it. Okay. Chapter 13, at the bottom section in the book of the Ark of Bond. History of Moses of Egypt. God commanded his Lewis in the high heavens, saying, descend ye to the earth, to the land of Egypt, and raise me up a son capable of my voice. Hey girl, hey. So remember, Lewis are masters of generations. Those are one-time mortals, right, who lived on the earth or some other world, right? But they were one-time human. And then the Lewis has made it to the grade, which Lewis means master of generations. So they spend many generations following a family. From the time a child is conceived through their life, the parents' life, but not just the child, also the parents of the child, right? And they help to prophesy the Ashars prophesy correctly what this child will be, right? So depending on your state of mind and spiritually where you're at, when you conceive a child will determine the product that you put out, right? Okay, so it's a good mixture of not just the current atmosphere of the child that the child is born into, but what the atmosphere was during conception and while they were in the womb of the mother. All of this is a part of the bigger picture, right? Okay, so they follow them from conception, of course, they follow the parents, then the conception of the child, then they follow that child until that child has a child, and so on and so forth, for I believe up to 6 generations. if I remember that correctly. Don't quote me, but I think it's 6 generations. Okay, so they're called masters of generations, the Lewis, Loo apostrophe is. All right, y'all. God commanded his Lewis in the high heavens, saying, descend ye to the earth, to the land of Egypt, and raise me up a son capable of my voice. Trina, hey girl, hey. The angels descended as commanded and searched over the land of Egypt and in the adjoining countries, examining into the flesh and the souls of men. And they called unto God, saying, the land of Egypt is overrun with spirits of darkness. Druhas and mortals have attained to see them, and they dwell together as one people, angels and mortals. Auntie Belinda Brown, hey girl, hey. Page 419 at the bottom, verse 3. God said, go ye amongst my chosen until ye find a man capable of understanding betwixt truth and fable, and him inspire ye to an Ehim woman for my voice. In Elikaz, the Lewis found a man, Baksa, I keep saying this word wrong, Phoenician, of Faithus, born a Suez, and they said unto him, why art thou alone in the world? Baca said, alas, mine eyes have never seen God, my ears have never heard of him. I am searching for God in the life of a recluse. So look at how the Lewis is operating, right? He ain't just wait for Moses to pop on the scene. He went to look for a father and a mother who was currently serving, or at least in a line of the light of Jehovah, the Great Spirit, right? Because remember how those who can hear the voice of the Great Spirit, the voice of Yah, how they're developed, right? They have to have parents who know him, right? All right. Verse 3, God said, go ye amongst my chosen until ye find a man capable of understanding betwixt truth and fable. Him inspire ye to an Ehim woman for my voice. In Elikaz, the Lewis found a man, Baksa, a Phoenician of Faithus, born of Suez, and they said unto him, why art thou alone in the world? Baksa said, alas, mine eyes have never seen God, mine ears never heard him. I am searching for God in the life of a recluse. The Lewis perceived what manner of man he was, so they led him to take an Ehim woman to wife, and she bore him a son, Hasumat. The Lewis guarded Hasumat until he was grown, and they spake to him, trying him also as to his power to distinguish angels' voices. Him they also inspired to take an Ehim woman to wife, and she bore a son, Sachabal, who was guarded in the same way. And the angels inspired Sachabal to marry Teretha of the line house of Zed. You see how this progression is going, and it's not just one generation. They do it for multiple generations because the voice of the Creator has to be developed within you, right? So if you have multiple generations of people who can hear from the Father and can perceive spiritual things, the product you put out each generation gets better and better. Listen, I'll go back to 5. The Lewis perceived what manner of man he was, and they led him to take an Ehim woman to wife, and she bore him a son, Hasumat. The Lewis guarded Hasumat till he was grown, and they spake to him, trying him also as to his power to distinguish angels' voices. Him they also inspired to take an Ehim woman to wife, and she bore a son, Sachabal, who was guarded in the same way. And the angels inspired Sachabal to marry Teretha of the line house of Zed. Teretha bore a daughter who was named Edemas, and Edemas bore a son by an Ehim father without marriage, and she called his name Levi, signifying joined together, because his toes were not separate on the right foot, nor the fingers separate on his right hand. Levi grew to be a large man, larger than 2 large men. Levi, being of the fourth birth of Ehim blood, was not acknowledged an heir of the chosen race, the Faithists. Therefore, Levi established a new line, which was called the house of Levi. Levi, not being eligible to a Faithist wife, was inspired by the Lewis to take an Ehim, Metisa, to wife. Metisa bore him a son, Kohath, who at maturity was admitted to the order of Ava, the third degree of Faithist, whereupon he was circumcised and afterward called an Israelite, the name given to Faithists of Egypt. Come through Israel. Israel is Faithist too. It's just another name we have, right? Look. Let me read that again. Levi, not being eligible to a Faithist wife, was inspired by the Lewis to take an Ehim, Metisa, to wife. Metisa bore him a son, Kohath, who at maturity was admitted to the order of Ava, the third degree of Faithist, whereupon he was circumcised and afterward called an Israelite, the name given to the Faithists of Egypt. Kohath took a wife, Merah, a devout worshiper of Jehovah. Merah bore him a son, Amram, who took to wife Jochebed or Jochebed. We hear in the Bible, right? All this sound familiar to everybody? Listen. Kohath took to wife Merah, a devout worshiper of Jehovah. Merah bore him a son, Amram, who took to wife Jochebed, sister-in-law to Kohath, and she bore him a son who was Moses. Before Moses' birth, the Lewis perceived that he would be capable of the Father's voice, and they called unto God, saying, in the next generation, behold, thy son will be born. How many generations was that, y'all? How many we go through to find him? Okay. And right here on the previous page, I know the boy was just born, but on page 420, it's a picture of Moses. Some of y'all may or may not agree with the picture. It is what it is. This is what he drew. That's what he drew. We'll leave it at that. We testifying to the words. They pictures might be a little off. We're gonna keep reading. In these days in Egypt, there were houses of records where the affairs of the estate and of the king and governors were recorded.
Satin just said shut up at me.
Okay, guys, be nice to one another, okay? Okay, all right. Y'all gonna stay outside and play?
Yeah.
All right.
Me too.
Y'all was just going outside because he said it was gonna stay. Now everybody gonna stay. Don't even cut it on. Don't cut on my TV. Y'all can go back outside and play though. You can go upstairs to the loft. What you want to do?
Upstairs.
Go. Let's go. I would have thought that all the time I put in with these little jokers that they would still be asleep. We went on a long walk here in the neighborhood. Towards the back of the neighborhood, there's a huge park, right? Walking with the little people, take about 20 minutes to get there, right? Did it on purpose. We're preparing their legs for our family vacation in about 3 weeks. We're gonna be walking all day. So I'm like, okay, every day until we leave for vacation, we're gonna get your legs. So sometimes you know how you go out with the kids, like, oh, my legs tired. I want to sit down. It can't be none of that because we're gonna be walking all day. So we walked down there. Everybody had the little water bottles, and we stayed at the park for an hour and let them play. And then we walked all the way back. The complaining started on the way back. Can we just call Dad to come pick us up? Nope. Let's keep going. Oh, then a little baby want me to pick him up. I'm like, you can keep walking too. I'll hold your water bottle though, but I'm not carrying nobody on my back. Everybody gonna walk, right? Got back, went to the pool. Was in the pool for the last hour before they closed. I'm like, surely they're gonna pass out when we get home, and they're gonna leave me alone in the morning so I can read about Moses. The 3 oldest ones still sleep, but the tiniest of the little people, they made it down here before I got down the stairs. I'm like, Lord have mercy, what you got to do to make these kids sleep in? Listen, and I just knew of a certainty last night when they all fell asleep before eating their dinner that yes, I did my job. I'm like, I told my son, I said, listen, when they go to sleep and they don't even eat their dinner, I done my job, right? No. They wake up ravenous. We didn't eat last night. Well, I didn't send y'all to bed without food. Y'all chose to go to bed because y'all tuckered your little selves out. Okay, let's back to the reading. Listen, okay. Hopefully they'll stay up there and playing. Don't be interrupted. Okay. Bottom of page 421. In these days in Egypt, there were houses of records where the affairs of the state and of the king and governors were recorded, also the births and marriages and deaths of people. And after were recorded, recorded has reference number 2. And at the bottom it says were recorded, and there were recorded also the births. Okay. With a shot of melatonin. All that walking and playing and swimming was the melatonin key. Look, look, I learned something because I learned this early. We had, remember, all our boys came first, and they, a house full of testosterone, including my husband, them want to play and wrestle all over the place. Look, sometimes I just got fed up. I'm like, it's too much going on around here. And one summer, we went to my in-laws, my husband's parents' house, and it was out there. And they, of course, they got a yard. It was out there playing in the yard, and I'm just like, shoot. Sometimes these boys be wearing me out. He said, "Here's what you do: you keep them out in the open." He said, "You let them play all day. If they in the house, they're gonna want to run around the house." He said, "Just keep them out in the open, especially on good days." He said, "Even when it's cold, put them outside. Let them play. Don't keep them cooped up." That's been the best advice. Uh, I'd say second on the list, aside from what my husband's Aunt Louise told us when we first got married. She said, "Baby, you keep everybody out your business, including family, and y'all will be okay. Y'all be able to work out anything you get through." That was one of the first pieces of great advice that I live by. And then his daddy said, "Keep them out in the open. The house stay in one piece." They tie themselves out to where they ask, "Mom, can I go to bed now?" Of course you can, sweet child. And your children will be the sweetest things you have ever known. Just let them, keep them outside the house though. Let them burn that energy off. Because if they got all the energy and y'all pent inside of 4 walls, y'all know what happens. Okay, verse 2 at the bottom of page 421. The languages of the learned were Phoenician and Parsian, but the native languages were Egyptian, Arabic, Eustian, and Semitic. The times by the learned the times by the learned gave 2 sons to a year, but the times of the tribes of Ustia gave only 6 months to a year. Accordingly, in the land of Egypt, what was 1 year with the learned was 2 years with the Ustians and Semesians. God said, "My people shall reckon their times according to the place and the people where they dwell." Kind of remind me when we looking out for the new moon, right? A lot of people that live over here in America, they looking to see what Israel is doing, but you don't live in Israel, so you're going to get the time wrong because you live on this side of the hemisphere, right? So when we spot it here, that's when we call it. When they over there, when they spot it, that's when they call it, right? God said, "My people shall reckon their times according to the place and the people where they dwell." And they did this. Hence, even the tribes of Israel had 2 calendars of the time, the long and the short. To events of prophecy, there was also another calendar called the Ode, signifying sky time or heavenly times. One ode was equivalent to 11 long years. 3 odes, one spell, signifying a generation. 11 spells, one tuff, Tuff. Thothma, the learned man and builder of the Great Pyramid, had said, "As a diameter is to a circle, and as a circle is to a diameter, so are the rules of the seasons of the earth. For the heat or the cold, or the drought or the wet, no matter, the sum of 111 years is equivalent to the sum of another 11 years. One spell is equivalent to the next 11th spell, and one cycle matches every 11th cycle. Whoever will apply these rules to the earth shall truly prophesy as to drought and famine and pestilence, save wherein man contraveneth by draining or irrigation. Sounds like it sounds almost like, well, it's just worded differently. If you read in the book of Enoch, when it's going through chapters 72 through 82, where it's given like the calendar and how to recognize the times and the seasons and everything, and then it gives the calculation of the days of the moon in the year and the calculation of the days in the sun, and then it says it starts talking about how the dark days of the moon, or the transition periods, are counted in the year, but they're not counted in the month. As to the Sabbath, and this is where men go wrong with getting the count of the Sabbath wrong, right? And then it says that in every 8 years, the amount of days of the moon is equal to the amount of the days of the sun, right? Probably sound like a bunch of blah, 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 but if you read it enough and go out and observe, you would get it. Took me a while. Okay. Whoever will apply these rules to the earth shall truly prophesy as to drought and famine and pestilence, save wherein man contraveneth by draining or irrigation. And if he apply himself to find the light and the darkness of the earth, these rules are sufficient. For as there are 363 years in one tuft, so are there 363 days in 1 year, besides the 2 days and a quarter when the sun standeth still on the north and the south lines. Craig, shalom, brother. Where did you read that? You just talking about the book of Enoch? And you got to go to chapters. It's more towards the end of the 70s chapter if you're talking about the book of Enoch. But read it all together. The book of Enoch, chapters 72 to chapters 82 in the book of Enoch. So you can get the whole everything, the whole book of luminaries is between those 10 chapters, 10 or 11 chapters. You may go to chapter 83 too. Okay. In consequence of these three calendars, the records of Egypt were in confusion. I'll read that again. In consequence of these three calendars, the records of Egypt were in confusion. The prophecies and the genealogies of man became worthless. And as to measurements, some were by threes, some by tens, and some by twelves. And because of the number of languages, the measurements became confounded, so that with all the great learning of the Egyptians and with all the care bestowed on the houses of records, they became even themselves the greatest confounding element of all. Jehovah had said, "For 2,000 years I gave my enemies a loose rein, and they have the longest line of kings in all the world. And yet in the midst of their prosperity, they fall down like a drunken man. Even their language is become like a pearl that is lost in a mire." Jehovah said, "Because the kings of Egypt have outlawed my people and denied them the right to obtain great learning, behold, my people are divided also. One tribe hath one speech, another tribe hath another speech, and so on till they cannot now understand one another, save in fact in their rites and signs and passwords. Yea, the kings have perceived that to keep my people in ignorance is to keep them forever in bondage. But I will raise up a leader, Moses, amongst my chosen, and I will send him even into the house of the king, and the king shall give him great learning. He shall master all languages and be capable of speaking with all my people," which reminds me of ascending the Pharaoh's throne. Keon, Tabitha, remember Tabitha is Keon. Sometimes I slip up. That's why I got to repeat it. Because my eyes see and I just immediately go say Keon instead of letting it register first in my mind that this is Tabitha. Tabitha, shalom, sis. Listen, so remember, ascending to Pharaoh's throne. Matter of fact, I thank you. If you go back and watch the video from a couple years ago when we were reading it within the title, it's called Ascending Pharaoh's Throne, or 70 Steps to Pharaoh's Throne, something like that. There's 70 steps in it, right? And for each step up to Pharaoh's throne, where he sat on the highest, letting you know that he mastered all the languages of the world, that's how close you could get to Pharaoh to communicate with him. So if you only knew one language, you could only ascend the first throne and hope somebody up high could pass the message to the Pharaoh, to the king, right? But if you knew 5, you could ascend to the 5th step. If you knew all 70, you could literally stand face to face with the king and present your request or your message or whatever it is you had to say to bring before him, right? Um, Joseph was taught overnight in a matter of hours, all those languages, not taught, downloaded into his spirit. So when they came to pull him out of the dungeon, right? Remember the butcher and the baker? The butcher and the baker, the dreams about the butcher and the baker. Listen. So when they called him out, got himself all cleaned up, shaved, looking presentable again, about to go stand before the king, right? And so he was like, listen, he told the angel to show the look, first of all, he ain't gonna hear me because I'm Hebrew, I mean, I know a few languages, because I've been here in the king's service, but how you expect me to tell him this? And I can't even stand face to face. Don't worry about it, my G. Sprinkle a little bit of goodness on you. 70 languages. There you go. He got up there, and when he walked in, everybody, you know how everybody be talking to somebody walking around, everybody got their own conversations going on. Joseph walks in like, here this dude go. Where they bring him in here? Girl, so like I was saying, look, last night Craig was telling me, so he come in and he gets to the bottom of the throne at the lowest step, right? Everybody, you a Hebrew, my G. We figured that out. Yeah, you standing where you supposed to be at. He started going up them stairs, and at every step he took up, he changed the language in his mouth until I would say when he got about that 5th step, the room got quiet. First of all, let's say Joseph, the Hebrew, we was about to hang him, right? Then he get caught with the Pharaoh. He one about to commit adultery. No, for real. We heard that she was chasing him, quiet as kept. Don't tell the Pharaoh that though. His wife a hoe. So everybody got quiet. He walking up the steps. Every step, he changing his language till he found himself face to face with Pharaoh. What? And he opened his mouth and let the great creator speak through him. Purely astonishing. I'm like, come through Joseph. No, this Joseph. What's the boy name? I just said his name. Joseph. Yeah, Joseph. Jacob and Joseph. I be getting messed up. Joseph, right? Listen. Okay, so let's go back to this. Verse 7, page 422 at the bottom. Jehovah said, because the kings of Egypt have outlawed my people and denied them the right to obtain great learning, behold, hold on, wait a minute. Something just dawned on me. Clearly, we're reading about it. Every time, even with Joseph, when his brothers sold him, the plan was still the same. The plan was still the same, that he takes one whom he's chosen and put him in a house of great learning, right? And nobody knows the true identity of this person, but because education was I don't know, I just connected a piece of the puzzle, y'all. I really did. It's a small piece, but it's clear all the way through now. They take one of your people and put them in a house where they can receive the great learning and everything. Thereby now we have somebody who can who understand the law, all this, and read the fine print to help the people get free. Yes. No, is that the account in Oahspe? You will find that in that account. It gives detail about, you won't find that in the Bible, right? You will not find it in the Bible. You have to go to the Legends of the Jews to get the full account of what happened with Joseph, even going on his way into Pharaoh's court, and even what happened to him on the way as he was sold and changed hands from the first people he was sold to the second ones, and what happened to them when they was trying to beat Joseph because Joseph wouldn't stop crying, right? And he was trying to tell him, listen, I'm the son of such and such. Man, you a slave. And they started to beat him. The angels showed up and shooketh them regins. I say regins. If y'all know what regins is niggas backwards. I try to get my children to stop saying nigga this and nigga that. So, I got to do it myself. Don't I did. We literally just flipped the word around. Look, so they It literally shooketh them deep down to their shana na. And they was like, wait a minute, we don't know if this boy telling the truth about who he really is, but we better stop putting our hands on him. Yes, a really good story. No, not antiquities. You got to be careful with the book you get. Get Legends of the Jews. You got Wars of the Jews, different ones by um Josephus. Get Legends of the Jews, not Antiquities. Legends of the Jews, right? So you'll find it there. The entire 4-volume series is good. We read through it last year. I think earlier in the year we went through all 4 volumes. It's almost, actually it's a little bit over 500 pages. So you can go back to some of the videos, but you can order it. You can also listen. How I put it. LOJ. I remember to post the link to the playlist where you can start at the beginning. And it's broken up in chapters, so you can skip chapters, but listen to it from the beginning. It's good from the beginning all the way to the end. Solomon is in the 4th one, but it fills in a lot of the meat that the Bible, the different things the Bible allude to. Legends of the Jews fill that in. But even before we read that, we went through all the Apocrypha and we read through Maccabees and everything. So if you've read through the Bible and then you've read through all of the books of the all if you read through all of the Bible and read through all of the books of the Apocrypha, you start filling in pieces, the missing puzzle pieces. And then after that, pull in the Legends of the Jews. Legends of the Jews was compiled from the different manuscripts all over the world. It's not everything they found, but things that they found that were alike in every nation, they compiled into one book. And it gave us a whole lot more pieces of the puzzle, of the little snippets that we get in the Bible, right? It brings some things to light. It helps you understand some things that have been taught the wrong way when people teach out of the Bible, because they only had this little piece. When it was all of this, if you had all of this, you would not have been able to take this part out of context that you've been teaching your congregation all your life. It completely says something different when you have all the rest of the story, right? So you get better acquainted with the family, how they treated one another, and the different terms of affection that they had, the different names that they had for different people. So you might get all chopped and screwed in the Bible when you say different names, not realizing this was a nickname. And Solomon's father called him this, and his grandfather called him this, and his mother called him this. 4 different names, right? Not even putting them together. You're thinking they different people. You got to read all of it. When you get all of that, you can see a bigger picture, and it helps you just kind of take a step back and look at everything. Just kind of laugh a little bit, and you realize the foolishness of arguing over some things, especially the Bible, and it's all a part of growth, right? I'm glad we did it this way. All right, so listen. Okay, let's go back. Page 422, and I'll start at verse 7 again. Jehovah said, because the kings of Egypt have outlawed my people and denied them the right to obtain great learning, behold, my people are divided also. One tribe hath one speech, another tribe hath another speech, and so on, till they cannot now understand one another, save in fact in their rites and signs and passwords. Yea, the kings have perceived that to keep my people in ignorance is to keep them forever in bondage. But I will raise up a leader, Moses, amongst my chosen, and I will send him even into the house of the king. And the king shall give him great learning, and he shall master all languages. Y'all, ugh. This one fly I've been trying to catch. I'm sorry. I was like, this girl got flies in her house. No, it's this one fly that keeps eluding. It keeps eluding everybody. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Let me open this door, see if it'll be drawn to the light over here. One thing I hate, the flies over in this joker is terrible. Okay. Threw me off. Okay. Verse 8. The kings have perceived that to keep my people in ignorance is to keep them forever in bondage. But I will raise up a leader, Moses, amongst my chosen, and I will send him even into the house of the king, and the king shall give him great learning. He shall master all languages and be capable of speaking with all my people. Because the Israelites, faithists, worship not the gods and lords but the Great Spirit only. Listen, you can tell the true prophets. When I read through this and started reading, I was like, you know who kept to the doctrine of the faith is it was the prophets, Jeremiah, Isaiah, because what was they trying to do all the time? All the time they was trying to turn the hard-headed Israelites back to Yah. Listen, stop worshiping all these other gods. Worship the Creator only, or worship Yah only, right? The prophets were the true faith as the ones who held to the Great Spirit only. Listen, verse 9. Because the Israelites, faithists, worship not the gods and lords, but the Great Spirit only, and because they resented not injury done by another, they had been limited into servitude by the Egyptian laws, which had stood for 1,500 years. These laws were called the Sun Laws, SUN, after the manner of the division of the Osirian systems, which was the sun is a central power. Its accompanying planets are satellites. In like manner, the king of Egypt was the sun king, and his sub kings, governors, were satellites. Osiris, the highest angel in heaven, was the sun god, that is, God of gods, for all other gods were his satellites. He revealed certain laws to his mortals, and these were sun laws, and all minor laws were satellites. A sun law extended over all of Egypt, but a satellite law pertained to the minor affairs of a city or province, but it must conform to the sun laws. For in those days the spirits of darkness taught that the sun once whirled so fast it cast off its outer extreme, and so made the earth and moon and stars. And this was the accepted philosophy of the learned Egyptians of that period. So remember, this Osiris is not the real Osiris or Osir, right? So remember, we remember about Osir. Over time, you got the false gods and the false lords who get in there and they take those names upon themselves, and they begin to call their names after gods who were true gods indeed, right? But a lot of people who are worshiping Osiris, and especially if you come out of Egyptology, they don't really know that the teaching from Egypt comes from a false god. It is a true name of a true god, but the one who taught you in Egypt was a false god who took his name, right? All right. Because the hold on, let me go back. A sun law extended all over Egypt, but a satellite law pertained to the minor affairs of a city or province, but it must conform to the sun laws. For in those days, the spirits of darkness taught that once the sun whirled so fast, it cast off its outer extreme, and so made the earth and moon and stars. And this was the accepted philosophy of the learned Egyptians of that period. Because the worlds run in circles, the circle was the highest measure or sun measure, and the diameter of the circle was called the Ode, ODE, a Phoenician word signifying short measure. And this name, Ode, was applied to the Israelites in satire, as the Anglo Saxon word odious is used to this day. But the Israelites made sweet songs and called them odes also. And we still kind of use that word, right? But you won't hear me using it no more, because they use it jokingly to make fun of our people. Verse 11. Amongst the sun laws were the following, to wit, the God of gods, i.e., Osiris decrees. Remember, Osiris, the false god, not the real Osiris. The God of gods, i.e., Osiris, decreed, whoso boweth not down to me, which is the key. If you got a God telling you to bow down and to worship them, red flag immediately. Creator does not ever tell us to do that. He never has to. Like, he never has to. Because our reverence and our understanding and our learning, we automatically just throw ourselves down. He never once tells you to bow, right? Just because of the greatness of who you are, this place is holy ground. Nobody would ever need to tell, I'm coming prostrate and I'm laying, right? False gods will tell you, you need to bow down, you need to worship me. That's how, wherever you at, whatever place in the world, if in your religion your God is, you know what? Hold on, I'm gonna get this bug spray. Hold on. Look, you ain't about to do me like you did the vice president. This fly. These flies around here big to y'all. You know what? This is so unprofessional. It really is. But I'm gonna kill this fly today. I really am. Hold on, Josh. Hold on. Come here, please. This fly will not be in this video. Come here, Josh. I need you right away. This one fly keeps flying around here. Take this and catch it. Please and thank you. I give you $5. Hunt it down. Get it. Oh, find it. Chase it. I don't care what you need to do. Y'all, I'm so sorry. Just I got a fly strip. Look, that's a pit stop for sweets. Oh, we got cake and ice cream today? No, the fly traps don't work. Them sticky traps. Ben Yasharala. I'm not even going to try to say the rest of that. Suzerain Shushamana Likyahu. Shalom, brother. Shalom. Oh, yeah, just take care of that, please. Look, okay. All right, back to this. Verse 11, the bottom of page 423. Amongst the son laws were the following, to wit, the God of gods, i.e., Osiris, decreeth, whoso boweth not down to me shall not partake of me. Behold, mine is the sign of the circle. My enemies shall not receive great learning. They shall not hold some places, and after some places, it has in parentheses, be employers. They shall not hold some places, be employers, but be as servants only. Josh is over here. But be as servants only all their lives. And these signs shall discover them. If they worship not me, but the great spirit. Hey, y'all could have did it upstairs. Go wait till you come back. No, wait till you come back. And you passed your father all the way upstairs. I'm sorry, y'all. You trying to take it off? All right, take it back upstairs. Go, rub that in. Yes. I'll let you know. I'll cook y'all breakfast in a minute. Okay. All right, y'all go back to the loft. Okay. Amongst the, I'll read this again. Very good. Throw it away. Amongst the son laws were the following, to wit, the God of gods, i.e., Osiris, remember, false Osiris, false God, decreeth, whoso boweth down not to me shall not partake of me. Behold, mine is the sign of the circle. My enemies shall not receive great learning. They shall not hold some places, be employers, but be as servants only all their lives. And these signs shall discover them. If they worship not me, but the great spirit, if they deny that the Creator is in the image of a man, if they circumcise and will not serve as soldiers, then their possessions are forfeited already. Nor shall they possess houses in their own names, nor send their children to the schools, for they shall be as servants and the servants of servants forever. So clearly we know the laws that he's given to all of those are strictly against what the Creator says, right? So right then, right off top, you know, this is a false God. Verse 17, under the Egyptian laws, it was accounted a sufficient crime of idolatry to worship the Great Spirit.
Can you order another screen door because that one's broken?
Thank you so much, Josh. I'll put that $5 in your account when I'm done. I appreciate it. Joshua saves the day. Under the Egyptian laws, it was accounted a sufficient crime of idolatry to worship the Great Spirit Jehovah, and the Israelites were not even admitted to the courts to be tried for an offense, but fell under the jurisdiction of the master for whom they labored, and his judgments were unappealable. Now at that time of birth, Moses, now at the time of the birth of Moses, there were in Egypt 13 million inhabitants, and of these 4 million were faithists. And in parentheses, what's another word for faithists back in that day? Israelites, which we still use today, right? Israelite. Now we know Israelites are faithists, according to Oahspe. Oh, my Hebrew brethren and sisters better come read this. Now, at the time of the birth of Moses, there were in Egypt 13 million inhabitants, and of these, 4 million were faithists, Israelites, more or less. For amongst the Israelites, not all were full of faith, but many, to shirk the rigors of the sun laws, professed to be worshippers of God, Osiris, and they will also enlist as soldiers and otherwise connive in the ways of men for the sake of favors. And that we can see all through the Holy Bible, right? Which was why the prophets kept coming saying, turn back to Yah, turn back to him alone, right? And through here they call him Jehovah. Turn back to the Creator, turn back to the Great Spirit. We worship him only. For which reason the Sun King, Pharaoh, feared the time might come when the Israelites might revolt against the sun laws or become soldiers and confederate with foreign kingdoms for the overthrow of the Egyptian dynasty. For more than 300 years, the god Baal and the goddess Ashtaroth had driven the foreign kingdoms to war. We learned about this, right? If you go back to the video where in the thumbnail it says Baal versus Ashtaroth, you will see it in like the small white bolded print. That's the day we read about this, where they literally, they're the spirits behind the scenes driving different kingdoms to war against one another. It's the spirits, so the once human spirits who are now disembodied, who are of higher rank, causing wars and commotions to constantly go on, even down to the lowest government here in the earth today. And what does Oahspe call the lowest government? Anybody remember? I'll wait for this answer. Anybody remember what Jehovah, the Great Spirit, what Yah said the smallest government on earth is? Think about it. What is the smallest government? Anybody, Facebook or YouTube, if y'all remember, the smallest government, what is it called? Thank you, a family. Think about how husbands and wives go at one another. Sometimes you forget what you fighting about. When you come to those instances and y'all going head to head and everybody trying to get the last word in, and when you get to the end of all the foolishness, you can't even remember what you've been arguing over. That's a really good clue that there is unseen activity pitting you. They're literally playing a game with you too, and you just fell prey to it because you didn't recognize it. When you don't recognize what's going on, families are divided and they're split up, and that's the whole game of the false gods. Because if you go into the spiritual realm, if you lose your flesh and you enter the spiritual realm of the real world when you're truly born, and you enter that realm in chaos, by default you fall to the false god's kingdom, right? And you will find yourself in Hada, waiting for deliverance from true God, right? You're gonna be there for a little while. And we got to learn all this now, recognize the games, right? And work in unison with true God, with the creator, with his line of light and ashars who are here to help us. Remember, the guardian angels, the rule of our ashars, which we call guardian angels, they can only help us by inspiration, dreams, and visions, right? But they are not allowed to show themselves to us, which is also a development and another whole teaching for us, right? Teaching us how to be sensitive and learn how to decipher between the voices of good and evil, true God and false God, right? It's learning every step of the way for the spiritual and those who still have their corporal or flesh bodies, right? We're working together, but it's training every step of the way. Mom, shalom, shalom. Okay, let's go back. Verse 20, page 424 at the bottom. For more than 300 years, the god Baal and the goddess Ashtaroth had driven the foreign kingdoms to war. And in consequence of these wars, the faithists had fled into Egypt and even accepted servitude rather than being slain elsewhere. And I know I just finished my last comment talking about the smallest government, the family. But not only did family, husbands and wives, bringing war there, but also war between our brethren and our sisterin, right? The Hebrew camps, the churches, whatever religions, when they realize when they're missing information, we're constantly kept at war amongst one another. And these wars span in the flesh to social media, and it looks a mess. It really looks foolish. It really does, us fighting against one another, right? So it's incumbent upon us to pull ourselves out of that game of mortal wars, right? And help our brothers and sisters pull themselves up to a higher level, right? By us walking in the truth, it'll get their attention, right? It'll get their attention. And maybe they'll begin to observe what's happening. Stop being a pawn in the game, right? Learn the game. Play the game on purpose to win, right? We playing to win. Whether you call yourself Israel or you now take on the term faithist, right? But still, all in all, we serve one creator. We serve Yah alone, or the Great Spirit, or Jehovah alone. Listen, for more than 300 years, the god Baal and the goddess Ashtaroth had driven the foreign kingdoms to war. And in consequence of these wars, the faithists had fled into Egypt and even accepted servitude rather than to be slain elsewhere. Jehovah had said, behold, my enemies in killing one another frighten off my chosen. Now will I lead them into Egypt together and give them a great leader, and he shall restore my doctrines unto them, and I will afterward deliver them into lands of their own. Next chapter, chapter 14. The king's palace and pyramids were surrounded by a wall of stone with 12 gates, made of wood and iron. The walls was of sufficient breadth for 12 men to walk abreast thereon, and the height of the wall was equivalent to 12 squares. And after squares, there is reference letter C. So hop over to the letter references, which we find always at the end of the book. On page 459, C says, see Book of Exodus, Ezra Bible, chapter 2, verse 10. The etymology of the Hebrew word Moses is a leader forth, Forth, a leader dash forth, and has no reference to being drawn out of the water. Hence, the Ezra account must fall to the ground, save so far as the facts corroborate the Israelitish account, 1882 edition. Okay, so let's go to. So remember the Ezra. This a whole chapter in here about the Ezra Bible, which is what we have today. Anita, shalom, shalom. Okay, so let's go. Did I say that wrong? I said it wrong. Thank you, Anita. 15, chapter 15. Yeah, thank you. You know, I'm still getting my Roman numerals together. Oh, that's right, because I forgot to mark chapter 14 here. That's right. Thank you. Okay, so real quick, let me put this here. Let's say go to Exodus chapter 2, verse 10. Let's put it up right here real quick. Girl, why do I keep doing that? Okay. Exodus 2, 10. This is, I don't care. And they all say the same thing. but I'm a fan of the NLT. Me and King James, we got this thing. Verse 10, Exodus chapter 2, verse 10. Later, when the boy was older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own son. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, I lifted him out of the water. Okay. All right. So I read. C said this. Yo, I'm all off. I'm sorry. I read D. C says, thank you. That would make it about 32 feet. That's what C says. Hold on. Let me go back and read this where I paused. Okay. The king's palace and pyramids were surrounded by a wall of stone with 12 gates made of wood and iron. The wall was of sufficient breadth for 12 men to walk abreast thereon, and the height of the wall was equivalent to 12 squares. I need to get my prescription updated or something. Okay. C, reference C says, is referring to the wall. I didn't skip to a whole nother thing. C says this would make it about 32 feet, 1882 edition. Okay. Thank you, Anita. Thank you, sis. Okay. Back on page 424. On the summit of the wall were 12 houses for the accommodation of the soldiers who patrolled the walls, and in each and every gateway were houses for the keepers of the gates, so that no man, nor woman, nor child could come into the palace or palace grounds without permission. And it came to pass when Leotanis, the king's daughter, walked near the river, accompanied by her maids, she beheld a child in a basket among the bulrushes. Leotonis commanded her maids to fetch it to her, and when she looked upon it and beheld it, it was an Israelitish child. She said, the gods have sent him to me, and he shall be my child. And they bore the child into the palace, and Leotonis said to the king, behold, a wonder of wonders. I have found an Israelitish child in a basket in the rushes, and only gods know how it came or how it scaled the walls. The king said, keep thou the child, and it shall be both a brother and a son to thee. Nevertheless, my guards shall find the way, my grounds are entered, or blood will be upon them. Now, after some days, and when the search had been completed, and no way discovered as to the manner of the child's ingress, the king issued a decree commanding 1,000 Israelitish male children to be put to death, to be put to death, Moses among the rest, unless the mother of the child Moses came and acknowledged as to the manner of the ingress. So according, let me finish reading this. The king allotted 3 days in which time the matter should culminate, but nevertheless the mother came not and acknowledged. So now, according to the Bible, the king didn't even know that Moses was an Israelite child, right? But here it tells us that he knew. The sister went and the king said, okay, you keep the boy. You know, he gonna be as a brother and as a son to you. But he said, we need to find out how this child breached our grounds, right? So go out here, figure out how this happened so we can seal it up so it can't happen again, right? The king knew this. And when they couldn't find a way that the child got into the king's palace, that's when the issue was decreed to kill the male children. Unless somebody came and fessed up, because the king was afraid that there was a breach in his land. And his life could have possibly been at risk, because if a baby basket can get in here, who else can breach my territory? Right? See, we don't get all that in the Bible. We get the cliff note. I call the Bible, the Holy Bible, cliff notes. Y'all have been studying and y'all get like the cliff notes. You can buy cliff notes from Amazon now for anything, the medical field, whatever. They got the little plastic laminated cliff notes. That's what the Bible is. The whole 66 books is a book full of cliff notes. And if you read through other accounts and other manuscripts, you will see that there are cliff notes. Literally, it's amazing how it was done. There's like one sentence, one scripture, like scripture 2, and then go to scripture 3. But between scripture 2 and 3, there is a whole 40, 100 years of information missing. And it just flows together like it happened just a few minutes ago. I'm like, who does this? And the mastermind that put the Bible together is completely genius. We got Constantine and his crew to thank for that. But listen, but you would never know that if you don't read outside the Bible. If you don't start asking questions about some of the things that the Bible alludes to and just leave you in the dark about, you'll never know. The king allotted 3 days in which time the matter should culminate. But nevertheless, the mother came not and acknowledged. And the king called his daughter and said unto her, what shall be done? Leotonis said, the king's word must not be broken. Nevertheless, thou gavest the child to me, saying, keep thou it, and it shall be a brother and a son to thee. And straightway I sent my maids and procured an Israelitish woman as a nurse for the child. And I set my heart upon the child, nor can I part with it and live. Last night I consulted the oracle as to the matter, for I saw that thy mandate must be fulfilled. The king said, and what said the oracle? Leotonis said, give word abroad that the nurse of the child is its mother. Now I beseech thee, O king, let it be heralded abroad that all is acknowledged. The king, seeing the child, relented, and word was proclaimed as Leotonis had desired. And moreover, the matter was entered into the recorder's house that the mother of the child had made a basket and placed it where it was found, though no reason was assigned therefor. Such then was the Egyptian explanation. Now the truth of the matter was, the angels of Jehovah came to Yochebed, and it says, has reference number 3 after Yochebed. We remember her name as being Yochebed, right? And it says down at the bottom, in reference 3, Yochebed. While the 18, excuse me, I need a sip of water. I'm sorry. I should have that ready when I come in the morning. I'm sorry. Okay. 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 Reference number 3 down at the bottom of page 425. It says Yochebed. While the 1891 edition uses Yochebed, the 1882 edition uses Yochebed through the rest of the book of the Ark of Bond. But chapter 13, verse 10 had Yochebed in both editions. For consistency's sake, Yochebed is used throughout this edition. Okay, so let's go back up. Verse 8. Now the truth of the matter was, the angels of Jehovah came to Yochebed and said, thy son's name shall be Moses, signifying a leader forth, for he shall deliver the Israelites out of bondage. And that was a reference that we just read when we were supposed to have been reading C, but I read D instead, not paying attention to the letter line that I was on. So we're not going to go back, right? It said that. Thy son's name shall be Moses, signifying a leader forth, for he shall deliver the Israelites out of bondage. But he shall be taken from thee, and thou canst not find him. For the angels of Jehovah will deliver him into Leotonis' hands, and she shall adopt him as her brother and son, and bestow upon him the education of a prince. Yochebed feared, for in those days male children of Israelitish parentage were outlawed, nor could any man be punished for slaying them. And Yochebed prayed Jehovah, saying, thy will be done, O Jehovah, for I know thy hand is upon my son. But I beseech thee, O Father, that I might come to the princess and be her nurse for the child. The angel of Jehovah said, swear thou before Jehovah that thou would not betray the child, that thou art his mother. Yochebed said, though I be commanded by the king, yet I would not own that I am the mother, and it be thy will, O Jehovah. And Jehovah's angels fashioned a basket and carried the child and placed it where it was found by Leotanus and her maids. And Leotanus, seeing it was a Hebrew child, commanded one of her maids to go out and bring an Israelitish woman to nurse it. And the maid went out beyond the Utak gate and found and brought Jochebed, the child's mother, but no one knew she was its mother. And when Jochebed had come before the princess, the latter said unto her, Nurse thou the child, for hold on. Nurse thou the child, for I will be its mother and its sister, for the gods have delivered it into my hands. And Jochebed said, It is a goodly child. I will nurse it for thee. Moses grew and became a large man, being a pure Ehuan, copper colored, and of great strength. And Pharaoh, this is why this picture does no justice for him. I mean, unless he real bronzy, like bronzy color. Let's look at him again. I mean, I can see. I mean, he could be a light bronzy color, but the book, look, we'll just say the book is printed in black and white, right? So we ain't really seeing the color for real. But if it was in color, he'd be close to my color. That's what we're gonna say. Cause for real, that looked like my uncle. He just bronze, literally. His beard down like that. He really looked like my uncle. Hair, pretty hair like that. He looked like my uncle. The book is black. The book is black and white, right? It ain't got no color except for what I do with my highlighter. Okay, listen. Verse 13, page 426. Moses grew and became a large man, being a pure Ehuan, copper color, and of great strength. And Pharaoh, having no son, bestowed his heart on Moses and raised him as a prince, having provided him men of great learning to teach him. Hey, y'all go back upstairs, y'all. Jackson, baby doll, y'all go back upstairs. Yeah, Bella, take him back upstairs, please. Y'all come down in a few. Where we at? It's Sunday though. They can stay up there. I'll cook them breakfast in a little while. But I want to read all of this story about Moses. Hey, baby. How you sleep?
I didn't sleep so good without you.
Well, I was right there. If you keep little girl baby out of our room, then you know.
Good job.
I said if you keep little girl baby out of our room, then you know.
We'll have another girl baby.
Moses grew, became a large man, being a pure Ehuan, copper color, and of great strength. And Moses, having no son, bestowed his heart on Moses and raised him as a prince, having provided him men of great learning to teach him. Moses was master of many languages, and withal made acquaintance with kings and queens and governors far and near. And he espoused the cause of the king, whose dominions held 7 kingdoms belonged Egypt as tributary kingdoms, which paid taxes to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh made Moses ambassador. I'm sorry. So Moses made. I'm sorry. So Pharaoh made Moses ambassador to the foreign kingdoms, in which capacity he served 12 years. But because of the prejudice against him for being of Israelitish blood, the court of Pharaoh importuned the king for his removal, and Moses was so removed from office under the king. Now, isn't this interesting? Pharaoh's whole court knew that Moses was Israel, right? He was an Israelite. Black and white will still show color. I ain't the one that printed the book. Neither am I the one who did the drawings. But in his mind, this is what it looked like as his hand was drawing and writing automatically with the power of the angels flowing through him. I'm just saying, I don't know. I wasn't there. But the information is good to me. The pictures, I may not agree with. Listen. But listen, based on the words, what did he say? He was Ehuan, pure copper color, right? What is copper color? What is like a penny? Copper color, right? Copper color. I'm copper color, right? The copper color tribes. Moses, it says here. Moses grew and became a large man, being a pure Ehuan, copper colored. Right? Okay, so we gonna talk about the pictures in the book. Okay. Moses was master of many languages, and withal made acquaintance with kings and queens and governors far and near. And he espoused the cause of the king, whose dominions held 7 kingdoms beyond Egypt as tributary kingdoms, which paid taxes to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh made Moses ambassador to the foreign kingdoms, in which capacity he served 12 years. But because of the prejudice against him for being of Israelitish blood, the court of Pharaoh importuned the king for his removal, and Moses was so removed from office under the king. Now, if you're familiar with the movie 10 Commandments, and if that's all you read about Moses or seen about Moses, according to the movie is all chopped and screwed, right? It portrays Moses as not even being known as being Israel until after he killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sea. The king said to Moses, "My son, this is a double infliction on me in my old days. In the first place, it is a sword thrust to cut off my love to thee, lest thou someday become king. And in the second place, it is hard for a Pharaoh to be dictated by his own court." Moses replied, "Fear not, O king, that my love and thine can be severed." And this is kind of like Capelia and I forget how to pronounce his father's name, which was the king, which was not really, because the same thing happened with Capelia, taken from the group of Faithists and brought into the king's palace. Same thing that happened with Moses, right? And it was done that way so they could be, um, so they could have the privilege of learning and doing everything that was denied to the Faithists because they wouldn't worship multiple gods, right? Because y'all gonna stick with the Great Spirit and y'all stick with him then, right? So we ain't gonna let y'all get none of, you can't play with none of our stuff, right? So they would deny education, land, and everything. The king said to Moses, "My son, this is a double infliction on me in my old days. In the first place, it is a sword thrust to cut off my love to thee, lest thou someday become king. And in the second place, it is hard for a Pharaoh to be dictated by his own court." Moses replied, "Fear not, O king, that my love and thine can be severed. Oft it happened that men are tried in a way they know not the wisdom of, but which afterward we realize to be the best thing that could have taken place. As for myself, I think this rebuke is put upon me by Jehovah, because I labored not for my own people." The king said, "How so?" Moses replied, "For many days a great heaviness hath come upon me. It is as if the wind of heaven bore down on my heart, saying, Moses, lift up thy voice for thy people, for behold, the king, thy father, will favor thee." Yes. Can you take it off? Yeah. No. What? Were you asking to take it off? Yeah. Take it off your head. Your hair should be dry. Yeah. Verse 19, Pharaoh said, "What wouldest thou, my son? And if it be possible to be done, it shall be done." Moses answered, "Until I have gone amongst them and ascertained their grievances, I know not how to answer thee." The king said, "Go and keep thy counsel to thyself until thou art returned." So Moses departed and traveled over the land of Egypt, and it was yes. You can wait. Hold on. Go find your daddy. Elijah, go find your daddy. Yeah, his nose. He may have used his shirt. Moses answered, "Until I have gone amongst them and ascertained their grievances, I know not how to answer thee." The king said, "Go and keep thy counsel to thyself until thou art returned." So Moses departed and traveled over the land of Egypt and was 4 months absent. Yes, girl, baby. What? What? You ain't got nothing to say. You just want to call my name. Moses departed and traveled over the land of Egypt and was 4 months absent, and then returned unto Pharaoh. And to him Moses related all the grievances of the Israelites explaining the task put upon them, their denial before the courts, their forbiddance to education, and withal extolled them highly for being a peaceful and virtuous people. The king said, "It is a pity, a great pity. But what can I do, O Moses? Thou beholdest how even thou thyself art chastised by the king's court." And it said, it has reference number 4 after art. Even thou thyself art chastised. And 4 at the bottom says, how even thou thyself art is chastised by the king's court. If I demand the repeal of the laws, the court will heap coals of fire on thy head and mine. Moses said, neither know I, O king, what to do. Isn't this interesting how we don't have Moses going in here with Aaron yet? Matter of fact, let me keep on reading. Let me keep reading because if I think I may have gotten ahead of myself. Hold on. No, listen, here. You know how to do it. Come on, move. Bella, go upstairs. You're doing too much. Okay, I'm sorry. I think I got ahead of myself. So I think he gonna die, at least according to the Holy Bible. He dies, and his son Ramses takes his place, and he's the hard-headed, thick-headed king, right? Okay, let me keep reading. Verse 23, the bottom of page 429. Bella, back upstairs. Go upstairs. Go. Moses said, neither know I, O king, what to do. And Moses was in great trouble of soul. And after he waited a while for his thoughts to come to him, he said, O king, this night thou and Leotanus shall reason with me, for I feel it incumbent because of the pressure on my soul. And when the three were alone that night, lo and behold, it was the beginning of the dawn of light. And Moses' ears were open, and he heard the voice of Jehovah through his angels, saying, behold, O king, and thou Leotanus, and thou Moses, now is the beginning of my power on the face of the earth. Moses, my son, shall take thy people out of the land of Egypt, and I will bestow upon them the lands of the ancients, even whither I will lead thee. Change not thy laws, O king. Let Egypt have her way, and let the Israelites have their way also. The king said, to deliver 4 million people, oh, what a labor. On the next day, Moses walked out, going into the woods to be alone, for heavy trouble was upon him. And an angel of Jehovah appeared in a flame of fire in a bush, calling, Moses, Moses, my son. And Moses saw that the bush was not burnt. And he said, here I am, and I heard thy voice. The voice said, I am the God of Abraham and of Isaac and Jacob. Moses said, what wouldest thou? The voice said, go thou once more amongst thy people, and say thou, I, Moses, am come to deliver you out of the land of Egypt, and into an inheritance which shall be your own. Moses said, my people will ask of me, by whose authority speakest thou? Bella, if you go, she will follow. Go upstairs. Bella, girl, baby. Yes. No, and a few. Go on. Follow your auntie. Go ahead. Moses said, my people will ask of me, by whose authority speakest thou? What then shall I answer them? The voice said, say thou to them, the I am sent me. And if they question further, saying, thou hast a deceiving spirit like the Egyptians, then thou shalt say unto them, how can ye distinguish one spirit from another? And they will say, whoso laboreth for himself will deceive us. And thou shalt say to them, whosoever have faith in Jehovah, let him give up all, even as I do, and let them follow me. For if a multitude go forth in faith in the Father, then will the Father provide unto them. For this is the meaning of faith, from which ye are named Israelites. Let me get your highlighters, Israel. Yasharala.
For you, okay?
And thou shalt say, hold on, let me just read the whole verse again. Verse 30. Moses said, my people will ask of me, by whose authority speakest thou? What then shall I answer them? The voice said, Bella. Y'all see what they be doing in the background? I'm sorry, I do not have the mute. I mean, I got a mute button, but it'll just be too much to do right now. And mute them out. If y'all been here, y'all hear it all. I'm sorry. Thank you. Go back upstairs. Okay, verse 30. Moses said, my people will ask of me, by whose authority speakest thou? What then shall I answer them? The voice said, say thou to them, the I am sent me. And if they question further, saying, thou hast a deceiving spirit like the Egyptians, then shalt thou say to them, how can ye distinguish one spirit from another? And they will say, whoso laboreth for himself will deceive us. And thou shalt say unto them, whosoever hath faith in Jehovah, let him give up all, even as I do, and let them follow me. For if a multitude go forth in faith in the Father, then will the Father provide unto them. For this is the meaning of faith, from which ye were named Israelites. So Moses and his brother Aaron traveled about in the land of Egypt, calling together Reuben families, explaining to them and urging the people to get ready and depart out of Egypt. So after Reuben families, we have reference letter E. Let me make sure I read the right letter this time. Let's flip real quick to page 459. And E says, a family of 10, i.e., 30 people, a small community, 1882 edition. Okay, shucks, I got about that in my whole house, my own household with me and my husband and our grandchildren. Shoot. Look. So Moses and his brother Aaron traveled about in the land of Egypt, calling together Reuben families, explaining to them and urging the people to get ready to depart out of Egypt. For 3 years, they thus labored, and it became known far and near that the project was on foot. And clearly, the first Pharaoh, the father, Moses' adopted father, was on board with this. He was okay with Israel leaving out of Egypt, right? He loved Moses. Verse 32. And the oracles of the Egyptians prophesied that when the Israelites were once out of the country, they would unite with the kingdoms whereunto Moses had been ambassador, and then return and overpower the Egyptians. And in order to stigmatize Moses, they said he fled away from. This is where we get the shenaniganized version of the story from. Listen, verse 33. And in order to stigmatize Moses, they said he fled away from Pharaoh's palace because he had seen two men, an Egyptian and an Israelite, fighting, and that Moses slew the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. And the recorders thus entered the report in the recorder's house. And apparently Constantine just put it all in the one that we reading today. Moses was of a tender heart, and he inquired of the Great Spirit, saying, will ever a voice of justice speak in my behalf? Jehovah, through his angel, answered Moses, saying, suffer thy enemies to put on record what they will, for the time will surely come, and is here now. Look, look, Moses was of a tender heart, and he inquired of the Great Spirit, saying, will ever a voice of justice speak in my behalf? Jehovah, through his angel, answered Moses, saying, suffer thy enemies to put on record what they will, for the time will surely come when the truth shall be revealed unto men. Pursue thy course, for it shall be shown that thou Pursue thy course, for it shall be shown that thou dost still visit the king. Wherefore hast thou fled, as the records state, thou wouldest not return with the report of with the report hanging. Sorry, let me read the whole sentence again. Little girl, get out of my get out of here. What are you doing? Put it back. Put it back. Go on in there with your papa. Close the drawer. Elijah. 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 Call baby doll. Just messing with stuff, making noise. Pursue thy course, for it shall be shown that thou still visit the king. Wherefore, had thou fled, as the records state, thou wouldest not return with the report hanging over thy head. And after head, it has reference letter F. So real quick, let's jump into the chapter. Page 459, F. Okay. F says, it is strange indeed that the world has endorsed the Bible account for 2,000 years, overlooking the fearful blunder. Nevertheless, we see now that we have not had the Mosaical account at all, but the Egyptian. We've had the Egyptian account this whole time. My Oahspe is the old edition, which is volume 1 and 2, and it has no pictures of most. Oh yeah, Tabitha, you got to get Big Blue, right? Somebody said it's back in stock. I haven't checked, but the word has been getting out about Oahspe, and the faith is, and even the people that's hiding in the background, they ordered them up, and Amazon went out. You couldn't even get it from the original printer, but somebody said it's back in stock. This is Big Blue. We named it Big Blue because it's the Big Blue book. It's like 875 pages, but you can, and it's $30. And if you have Amazon Prime, they normally give you like a $5, $6, $7 discount. You can get it for like $24 to $25 if they have it back in stock. I haven't checked. Somebody mentioned yesterday that it was back in stock. Oh, Tigva sis come through. She said back in stock. I just ordered 5 more. Yo, get them. Get them. This is the most updated edition. Not saying that you should chuck the printed, the paperback ones. Get them if they run out of these again. Matter of fact, I'm gonna order just because I don't have it. I just originally got this because SIL said this was the most recent version to get this one. So I this is the one I've had only. I didn't have the paperback, but I think I will just to kind of look through it and see the differences between the two. But you didn't even really have to do that for real. So don't go spend your money if you already got Big Blue, because Big Blue will tell you the difference in the two with all the footnotes, right? But the paperback version, you're going to spend $60 for, because volume 1 is $30 and volume 2 is $30. So you're going to spend $60 for the whole book when you can get it in its most updated version, Big Blue, and just pay $30 all together for both volumes combined with the most updated ones, right? Yeah, so when I ordered, I told my family, I think all my family got one, and we got live. You can't grab, listen, you can't grab my breasts on camera.
What fun is it then?
Okay. For y'all who aren't.
Why do you censor yourself?
First of all, this is, like I said, if we want to do like a marriage thing, then hey, we can do that stuff. But this is this time of dedication to the Father, and
I'm dedicating who He has given to me.
Okay, come through, husband, come through. Okay, I see, but
So
you can't be
grabbing.
You can't be grabbing my breastises on camera, husband. No, he come to hug me from behind, and sometimes his hand, my son standing the whole like, don't, why? Okay. Sometimes his hand kind of slips, not realizing that the camera is.
Oh, I realize. I do.
Okay. Listen, but yeah, get the most updated version if you can, which is Big Blue. Okay. All right, y'all. So let's go back. All right. So we pause on page 428 at the bottom, verse 35. In those days, Egypt was a land of glory and of misery. Hardly is it possible for words to describe the splendor in which the nobles live. Hold on. Yeah, glory and misery. Okay, I'm gonna start it over. In those days, Egypt was a land of glory and of misery. Hardly is it possible for words to describe the splendor in which the nobles lived. Of their palaces and chariots, 1,000 books might be written, and yet not reveal all. As to the members of the king's court, so grand were they that many of them stood not on the ground from one year's end to another, but caused carpets to be spread wherever they desired to walk. And as to their chariots, they were bound with silver and gold and set with precious stones. Of the royal court, of the royal court and the nobles, there were 2,480, and they owned and possessed everything in Egypt, which was the richest country in the world. The next in rank were the masters, who were servants and tenants to the courtiers and nobles, and the third in rank were the faithless, called Israelites, who were servants under the masters. And it was against the law for anyone to call a meeting of Israelites or to incite them against servitude to the masters, for which reason Moses and Aaron violated the law of the land, nor dared any man to arrest them, because Moses bore with him the king's seal. Of the miseries of the land of Egypt, the half which have never been told, nor shall ever be, for they were of the nature of the flesh, and of such kind that one may not mention them fully, for the history would also involve the beasts of the field, and dogs, male and female, and goats also. Well, we can imagine, because they're doing some of that craziness now. Tickler, don't be hyping up my husband. Talking about something he getting ready for daughter number 2. Girl, Trina, look, I promise y'all, I am not trying to be 60 years old with small kids running around here. Listen, we already got 6. One of them is grown with a family of his own, and we got 3 grandbabies. Our youngest baby is the same age as our oldest grandchild. They both 5. I was like, you know what, Elijah, it's really not even weird that me and your wife is both pregnant at the same time. Like the mama and the mama-in-law, right? We had babies born a month apart, right? Mama and grandmama in the hospital having babies. Ugh. Listen, I can wait for grandkids. Bella, I said, was the last.
Imagine that.
Imagine that, son. It's my oldest son. Imagine that. And he legit trying to have another child. I'm like, listen, let me keep studying this moon and sun cycle, okay? Because cycle, the woman's cycle be lining up with the moon and stuff. Click. Look, I was joking with him. I think we was live when I told him, I'm like, listen, if you can catch me slipping with moon cycle, you might be able to get me pregnant. He said he's just gonna try and keep hitting and missing. I'm like, well, if you ain't picked up the pattern, I'm real in tune with the constellation and the luminaries, and I keep track like clockwork daily. I won't be slipping, and I'm not hitting and missing. I know when to dodge and how far to go. I've learned it at this point. 5 years without birth control. I think I'm doing pretty darn well, right? Fingers crossed. Let me find some wood to knock on. Be coming up here, y'all. We live going from the hospital bed, baby number 7. Look, for real though, he be looking, he be trying to, hold on. Okay, listen. Let me go back. Oh, I highlighted this before. Okay, listen. Let me go back and read this. Verse 38. And it was against the law for anyone to call a meeting of Israelites or to incite them against servitude to the masters, for which reason Moses and Aaron violated the law of the land, nor dare any man to arrest them, because Moses bore with him the king's seal. Listen to this. Of the miseries of the land, the half which have never been told, nor ever shall be, for they were of the nature of the flesh, and of such kind that one may not mention them fully, for the history would also involve the beasts of the field, and dogs, male and female, and goats also. Suffice it, the people were victims of evil spirits and had descended to such unnatural practices as poisoned the flesh, which became inhabited with vermin, and they had running sores, and only evil practices alleviated the pains. And only evil practices alleviated the pains. The people were subject to entrancement by evil spirits, and the latter appeared amongst the people, taking to themselves corporal forms for evil's sake, also eating and drinking with mortals daily. Right? So, some of the stuff that you hear coming out of Egypt is really true. Some of the stuff that they was doing, and the magic, and you have an aunt that's 6 weeks or younger than me. Yeah. Did y'all hear me say earlier? I was talking to Bella. Take your niece with you. Bella's 5. She's 2. Look, okay. Let's go back here. Malachi, shalom, shalom. Listen. Suffice it, the people were victims of evil spirits and had descended to such unnatural practices as poisoned the flesh, which became inhabited with vermin, and they had running sores, and only evil practices alleviated the pains. The people were subject to entrancement by evil spirits, and the latter appeared amongst the people, taking to themselves corporal forms for evil's sake, also eating and drinking with mortals daily. Yes. Okay, I got you, baby. Hold on. When Moses beheld these things, he prayed to Jehovah for wisdom and strength, for thousands and thousands of the Israelites were becoming afflicted in the same way. How were they being afflicted? Because they was doing some things they should not have been doing, right? Eating flesh, taking part in some of these ungodly practices that aren't even legal to mention. They were taking part in this, which is why they were affected. Look, when Moses beheld these things, he prayed to Jehovah for wisdom and strength, for thousands and thousands of the Israelites were becoming afflicted in the same way. Jehovah answered Moses, saying, because of the abundance of evil angels in this land, it is impossible for my chosen to dwell herein and escape affliction. Moses explained this matter to the Israelites. Listen, we got to go. Like, we got to go. Jehovah said, Moses, thou and thy brother shall return to the king, for he is worried concerning thee and thy labors. Behold, the nobles have complained before the king against thee. Moses visited the king, who was sick with a fever, and the king was on his divan at the fountain in the palace grounds, and the men's servants were forcing water. When the king saw it, when the king saw it was Moses, he raised up rejoicing and called Moses to come and sit with him. And servants ran in and told Leotanus that Moses had returned. And Leotanus came also and rejoiced to see Moses. Now, whilst they were talking, the king was overcome and fell in a faint. Whereupon Moses raised him up and restored him, and then carried the king unto the palace. In his arms he carried him. Leotanus said, Moses, my son and brother, thou shalt not more leave us alone. I'm sorry. Leotanus said, Moses, my son and brother, thou shalt not more leave us alone. It was a question. Behold, my father is old, and he gave his heart to thee when thou wert a child. Be thou to him his son. Behold, how he revives in thy strong hands. Then spake the king, saying, my son, with all thy wisdom, canst thou understand a woman? Moses said, alas, O king, save the princes, I have not studied them. But why askest thou? The king replied, Leotanus has not said one word about the affairs of the kingdom. What is uppermost in a woman's heart, that speaketh she first. But as to a man, he speaketh first that which lieth at the bottom of his heart. Oh, wow. I'm going to highlight that. Verse 46. The king replied, Leotanus, hold on, let me just go back, 45. Then spake the king, saying, My son, with all thy wisdom, canst thou understand a woman? Moses said, Alas, O king, save the princess, I have not studied them. But why askest thou? The king replied, Leotanus has not said one word about the affairs of the kingdom. What is uppermost in a woman's heart, that speaketh she first. But as to man, he speaketh first that which lieth at the bottom of his heart. I love thee, Moses, and delight in thy presence, but my kingdom concerneth me deeply. The nobles have complained against thee for meddling with their slaves, and for this I have desired to see thee. Moses said, The voice came to me, informing me of what thou sayest, and then commanded me to come to thee, for thou wert ill with fever. And the king replied, saying, If I should die before thou hast accomplished the migration of my people, I fear my successor, Nugan, will make it hard for thee. Tell me, therefore, how matters stand with thee. Ain't that beautiful? He was really trying, Moses, get your people out of here before I die, bro. Because if I die, my blood son, he ain't gonna make it so easy. Go ahead and y'all get up out of here. Listen. Verse 48, Moses said, Jehovah hath planned this migration. It cannot fail. For witness thou what proof I have found. The Israelites were looking for a leader forth, even as I was named in a basket. And wherever I have gone, the rabbis and their families are acquainted with the matter, as if it were born in their souls. The king said, Everywhere the oracles declare against thee and Jehovah. The king said, Everywhere the oracles declare against thee and Jehovah, saying, Thou art in the hands of evil spirits. Moses said, What are the oracles to me? To feel assured one is good in works, this is better than oracles. All right, y'all, next chapter 16, XVI. Did I get that right, y'all? I've been slipping today with my chapter numbers. 15. I look at it in order. 16, yeah, chapter 16. The voice of Jehovah came to Moses, saying, Have the king give thee commissioners who shall go in advance and examine the countries whither I will lead thee. And when the commissioners have returned, thou shalt proclaim to my people what the commissioners say, and the people will be convinced and raise up and follow thee. So Moses asked the king for a commission of Egyptians, and the king appointed 33 men and allotted to them 7 months to accomplish the inspection. And he gave the commission camels and asses to ride upon, and to carry food to eat on the journey. Meanwhile, Moses sent Aaron around about through Egypt to inform the people of the commission, and also as to how they should make their outfits. Do me a favor. When they eat, can they eat in that big table? Thank you. Okay. And Aaron said unto the rabbis, or what we call today rabbis. Rabbis and rabbis are the same thing, right? Meanwhile, Moses sent Aaron around about through Egypt to inform the people of the commission, and also as to how they should make their outfits. And Aaron said unto the rabbis, Be ye circumspect as to the way, as to the outfits of our people, observing that they carry not away with them anything that is another's, even to a fraction. For thus hath Moses commanded me to say unto you. When the commissioners, in the Egyptian story, it tells us Moses told them, Don't carry away nothing that don't belong to you. In the Ezra Bible, the Egyptian account of the story that we got, it said Israel stripped Egypt of everything they had. And let's keep reading. When the commissioners returned and made their report, which was favorable, Moses had the report sent amongst the Israelites, and Moses added, For there be such as having little faith in Jehovah will have faith in the words of the commissioners. Oh, very good. Go rinse your mouth out.
Mom, this will be done.
in a few. The gods of the Egyptians were not idle, and they sent word by way of the oracles to the courtiers and the nobles to the effect that Moses had persuaded the king to hand the kingdom over to the foreign nations, knowing the king had no son eligible to the throne. The courtiers and nobles therefore importuned the king to choose one of two things: either to banish Moses out of the country and to put aside all arrangements for the migration of the Israelites, or on the other hand, to abdicate the throne in favor to new God. In meantime, a whole year's drought came upon Egypt as the rivers overflowed not, so that a famine was sure to fall on many parts of the country. I love this. I love the book of Exodus. We got to read to see what really happened. We get some deeper detail if y'all read through Legends of the Jews, the plagues. They get into so much more detail than what the Bible gives, and gives you the reason as to why each individual plague happened, right? Y'all got to go read it. The king answered the demand of the courtiers and nobles with these words: I am Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Look ye to the threatened famine, provide the stores for my people. I declare to you all, a new thing is come unto the world, which is migration from bondage. Nor is it in the power of nobles or courtiers or kings to stay this invention. When the courtiers received this answer, they said to one another, these are Moses' words, fashioned for the king's mouth. Certainly he has lost the fear of the Lord, and he hearkened to the great spirit of the Israelites come through King. Look, he said he ain't even listening to the gods no more. He listening to the great spirit of Moses that Moses worshiped. Okay, so after Lord, certainly he hath lost the fear of the Lord, and it has reference letter G after Lord, and G over on page 459 says, the student must not forget that the Egyptians were the worshipers of the Lord and God, and that the Israelites were not. So if you knew earlier, we've gone through here who the lords are and who the gods are. They are true lords and gods, which worship only the great spirit and are in service to him. And they're the false lords and false gods, which through the Ezra account of the Bible is who's speaking, right? So remember that, right? And Egypt worshiped the false Osiris and all them different ones, right? The false ones. Don't forget it. It's reminding you. The student must not forget that the Egyptians were the worshipers of the Lord and God, and that the Israelites were not. 1882 edition. Okay, let's go back to page 431 at the bottom, verse 7. I'll read it over. When the courtiers received this answer, they said to one another, these are Moses' words, fashioned for the king's mouth. Certainly he hath lost the fear of the Lord, and hearkeneth to the great spirit of the Israelites. Jehovah, through his angel, spake to Moses, saying, now is the time. Go to the heads whom thou hast chosen, and appoint a time unto them of one place, and a time unto the others of another place, and so on unto all the heads. And thou shalt make the armies going forth so numerous that the Egyptians will be overwhelmed. These then are heads, the chief rabbis appointed by Moses, and the places in Egypt whence they were to depart from. Rasak, son of Ubeth, of the place Hagar, Ashimel, son of Esther, of the place Rana, Gamba, son of Hanor, of the place Nusomat, Bothad, son of Nanis, of the place Palgoth, Amram, son of Yoth, of the place Borgol, Likidik, son of Samhad, of the place Apu, Jokai, son of Kedam, of the place Hasakar, Jorvith, son of Habed, of the place Oida, Satu, son of Baal, of the place Haragatha, Tusamak, son of Aban, of the place Ra, Macroth, son of Phalati, of the place Ne Boath, Hijamek, son of Tor, of the place Nujaram, Phalu, son of Hagan, of the place Initz, Shuta, of the place Ramjah, Jachin, son of Roots, of the place Mon, Tudan, son of Baraha, of the place Hezron, Osharak, son of Libni, of the place Rain, Thomas, son of Rodad, of the place Sukkos, Miza, son of Tidius, of the place Tesam, and Sol, son of Zakas, of the place Aeneas. Jehovah said, and the heads shall have seven, and the heads, I'm sorry, and the heads shall have notice 70 and 7 days, and they shall notify the rabbah of their places, that due preparation shall be made for the start. Nevertheless, the time appointed unto thy people shall be kept secret with the heads and with the rabbis. And whatever number the rabbah can send forth, he shall notify the head. And when all things are in readiness, that number shall go forth on the day appointed, every one on the same day. And Moses appointed the month Abib and the 10th day thereof, when all the people should start. And moreover, he said unto the heads, ye shall see to it that the night before they start, even at the hour of sunset and at the moment thereof, every family shall offer a lamb and sacrifice, and every man and woman and every child that can speak shall covenant unto Jehovah in the blood of the lamb. We're going to keep reading. When the time of the slaughter is at hand, the family shall stand around, and the lamb shall be in the midst, bound head and foot. And when the knife is raised for the blow, no one shall speak. For that which is to be shall be the covenant of the blood of the lamb against Egypt. And when the throat is cut across and the blood flowing, they shall say, in Egypt the lamb of Jehovah is dead. His God shall go hence with Israel, but Egypt shall be accursed from this night. Accept this my covenant with thee, O Jehovah, Eoah. For innocent blood hath been shed as a testimony before thee, that with tomorrow's rising sun I rise to lie not down again in Egypt forever. Thus went Aaron and Achab, bearing this message in the secret to the heads of the houses of Israel, saying unto them, Thus saith Moses, this is the commandment of Jehovah, who is almighty. And now, on the eve of success to the Israelites, the king of Egypt, being at the point of death, sent for Moses, and Moses went to him. The king said, if it should be the Lord's will to take me off before the people are gone, thou wilt have great bother. For my successor, Nugan, hath a great hate towards Israel. Moses said, what then shall be done? The king said, behold, the pestilence hath overspread Nujat and Arabina. Thy people will be cut off from traveling by that way. Nugan and his courtiers dwelled in Haraboth. Moses replied, my people shall march through Nujat and Arabina, neither shall the pestilence come upon them, for the hand of the Almighty is in this matter. Leotonis, learning that Moses was with the king, went in to see him. She said, O my son and brother, thou art welcome. Behold, the trials of the royal court and the persistence of the nobles are the death of the king. To this the king said, and still I live, Leotonis. But alas, these were his last words, for he laughed, and the blood burst through his heart, and he died then and there, even in Moses' arms. Whew. Hold on. How much more we got? What you need, Bella? Where we at?
Would you make me waste the food?
Y'all, I think we're going to have to end here for today. I really want us to go on. I really did. I think we need to pause right here for the day, though. Hold on. One, two. Yeah, I'll let you end it, 2, 3, 4. 4 more chapters. If the kids then keep coming down here saying, hey, can you go ahead and cook for us? I would go, but we're gonna have to pause. So we're gonna pause right here. Elijah, Trina said, tell Elijah I said, hey, haven't seen him in so long.
Hey, Trina.
Okay. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and pause here and put my little marker right here. I really wanted to read all of this today. I really did. Hold on to it. So we'll pause here and we'll come back with chapter 17. Is this chapter 17? Yep, chapter. We'll pick it back up with chapter 17 tomorrow morning at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Father, we thank you for clearing up the account of Moses and the truth and the lies. We thank you for exposing them this day. All right, so that's our prayer today. I'll try to take. I have some prayers that I like pre-write just in case, but I like to take it from what we learned and just try to apply the truth and add it to that day and just pour our adoration on the Great Spirit or the Father or who I most affectionately term the most holy, right? Okay, so we're gonna pause right here today, y'all. It was good, it really was. So it is Sunday, August the 14th, 2022, day 185 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count. Today is day 1203 that we have been here present and accounted for, reading through scripture, searching for truth, right? With the exception of the Sabbath days, right? We take the Sabbath days off, and of course, the week that I had to take off to, give my body a chance to recover. All right, we read pages 419, and we paused on page 432 in the book of the Ark of Bond, found in the Oahspe. All right, y'all. So I'll remember to give you the link. I'll leave both links. I'll put them in the community section and in the comment section. The Legends of the Jews, if you don't have it, I'll put the link to the book so you get the right book, and you'll get the link for the online reading. It's a real clear reading, and it's set up with chapters and stuff like that. If you want to just hear me read through the entire book with all the shenanigans in the background and all the stories that I add in with it, you don't get that when you get the YouTube version of it. You get a more exciting version. I ain't gonna say that because I listen to all of it, the online version. But if you like the stories, the personal stories and understanding revelations added in that I give along the way, then go back to early last year. Yes, babe.
Thank you, honey. And so I got my pancakes.
Yep. You just got to go back to early last year. And what I'll do, I'll also give the link to the, I really should put them all in the playlist. I really should, just like I'm doing this. I think that's what I do. It's going to probably take me a couple of days. But what I'll do today is I'll go back to the very first video that we did when we started reading Legends of the Jews. And I'll post that for you, right? But until I get the playlist together, I'll work on it for this next week or two to get them all into one playlist. So that way I can just say, go to the playlist section and start there. And all the videos for that book is there. Same thing when we read through the Anunnaki Bible. I'm going to go through and I'm gonna put everything in playlists. It's going to take me, I'm going to focus on it, but until it's done, I'll let y'all know when I'm done with all of it. All right. So with that being said, beautiful people, let me go through and make sure I ain't miss nobody. Alicia, yeah, over here on Facebook. Hey, girl, I didn't see you come in. Hey, girl, hey. Bonita Harris, I saw you come in. Bonita Harris is Shibu, but Shibu came in. She popped in over on YouTube. Hold on. Make sure I ain't miss nobody. I like to say hey to everybody. At least I try to, right? Because it's social media, we using, we all over the world. So I like to be personable, make new friends and stuff. So I like to speak to everybody. I think I got everybody over here. Alicia, yeah, you traveling back yet? Okay, I'm gonna scroll back up here. Thank you, Set Apart. Did I say hey to you, Set Apart?
I can end the video now.
Hold on, I'm about to end it. Hold on, let me just go through. Make sure I miss not. Go all the way to the top. Okay, now scroll from the top. I think I say hey to everybody. Since I need to add you to a group, but this channel won't pop up. What? On Facebook, my channel? I don't know. I'll post when we get done. I'll post the. If you're talking about my channel, I'll post the link to my channel in here, so you can do that. I don't know, but if you're talking about something else, girl, post it. Okay. Just call everybody name. Vinette, Anita, Shebrew, Set Apart, Jamia, Kendrick, Lavon, Gloria, Anita, Audrey, Key,
Mommy.
Elijah. I say hate Elijah. Auntie, Belinda Brown. Hold on, Tootie. I'm just checking. The picture right next to Moshe with the star on his head, is that his angel? I think, I don't know. Don't quote me. Yeah, it's my first time reading through it too. I think so. I don't know. Don't have me lying. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But also Brahma, I had to go back and read about Brahma because I think for Brahma it told, because there was a picture there. Is it because he asked about the stars seeing on the foreheads. I got to go back and I got to refresh myself on what he said, and that might give us a key to who these other two dudes were with the stars on their head with Moses. I got to go back. Tabitha. I think that Shayla. Hey girl, hey. Great spirit, love and lights of all the faith is in the name of our Creator. It's my wonderful friends in the UK. Jamia. Did I say Jamia's name already? I think I did. If I didn't, hey girl, hey. Okay. I think a couple more people I saw came in over here. Hold on. Oahspe College University. How did they know he was a Hebrew child? They just knew. I guess they could look at him and tell. But the King's Palace all knew he was Hebrew. Right? And I guess that was just confirmed through Jehovah and the baby's mother. As time went on, the whole palace knew they were Hebrew. Maybe it was because, I don't know, the Ezra version of the Bible, the Egyptian story, said that maybe it was the Hebrew baths. They say he was wrapped in the Hebrew cloak or whatever. But they knew, like that wasn't hidden. According to the real story, everybody knew that Moses was Hebrew. He was an Israelite. Zechariah, Yahu, Yasharah, Shalom, Shalom. Peace, love, and healing. Okay. Gloria. Honor, humility, Malachi, Maccabee. Yeah, but I think that was everybody that came in, I think. Scrolling. She say. Oh, that's good, Key. She said, now it makes me wonder why in the Bible God always hardened Moshe's heart. Yeah, that's interesting. Now we're getting the truth. You're welcome, Kendrick. All right, y'all. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Yes, Ormaz bless and keep you all. Can you respond to my friend request? I sure will. Key, I will. Chana Yael Bat Ya Shalom. Say Shalom. Okay. Oh, you meant Pharaoh heart. Oh, I get it. I read your comment out loud, so I guess I gotta read your correction out. You said I meant Pharaoh heart. Yeah. I figured that's what you meant Pharaoh's heart. Why he hardened Pharaoh's heart. It could have been, well, if we would have got to it today, it probably wasn't his father who just passed. It was probably who we know as Ramses in the Bible, the new Pharaoh who comes on the scene. We'll see tomorrow. We're gonna get to that. I'm a hold off reading, so all my expressions can be like full on first time. All right, y'all. But that's it. I love y'all. Okay. That star is like Brahma. Yeah. Something for the gang. Okay. I'll look at it. Tickle. All right, y'all. So yeah, I'll have to look back and see what they said about Brahma and the stars on the head, because they pointed it out back then. Brahma actually asked about the stars on the forehead. So gotta go back. All right. Love all y'all too. I see y'all back here tomorrow, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Go ahead and end it too.
Take them out.
All right.
Take me home, Daddy.
Okay. And that one right there.
Mom, now you can